Catholic voters helping President-elect Trump secure his victory after Vice President Harris repeatedly snubbed them on the campaign trail with moments like this.
With the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
Here to discuss the lessons learned from this election is President of CatholicVote, Brian Burch. Brian, so great to have you on this morning. As you know, Catholics went for Donald Trump by 10 points. So why don't you just lay out what are your takeaways from this campaign, both what Trump did right, what Kamala Harris did wrong?
Sure. Well, I think it was a combination of factors, Rachel. I think, number one, Kamala Harris had a problem with Catholics and had a record of hostility toward Catholics that she only made worse. Meanwhile, I think President Trump spoke to the concerns of many workers and families that just want to return to normal. They don't want radical abortion. They don't want Catholic hospitals being shut down. And they want normal gas prices and normal grocery prices, a normal border and normal girls' sports where boys aren't hanging out in their locker rooms.
Yeah, I mean, Biden actually, I mean, look, the difference between Kamala Harris's politics or policies and Joe Biden is really not that different. And his abortion record is almost as radical as Kamala's was going to be. But the point is that Joe Biden was culturally Catholic, and I think that's why he was able to. I think he tied with Trump in 2020 with Catholic voters. Am I right?
It was a couple points. You're right. No, and even the numbers you just showed, I think, are actually even smaller than the real margins. You know, we show that President Trump won Pennsylvania among Catholics by 16, Michigan by 20 to 25, Florida by as high as 29 points. And more importantly, and I know this is important to you, Rachel, Hispanics overall by 7 points.
Yeah.
No Republican candidate has been able to do this.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. You know, the left has often tried to use immigration as a cudgel against Catholics to say, well, if you oppose, you know, if you're not for a secure border, or if you're not for open borders, I should say, then you must not be compassionate and you're not being a Christian, you're not being a good Catholic. It didn't work this time. Why?
Well, I think it wasn't just a question of, you know, accusations about racism or about being an anti-immigrant. It was a questions about a normal, lawful, humane process that America can welcome immigrants into this country. And it turns out that's what Hispanic voters wanted as well. President Trump was right. He is not the man they accused him of. He's the one that can help restore order to this process where America is a welcoming country. We just want to do so in a way that is humane and is consistent with our laws.
Yeah, the other thing that the Trump campaign did that Kamala Harris did not do was in putting aside the big policy stuff, he made gestures. I mean, he would post things like the prayer of St. Michael. He had the Ave Maria, you know, played at his rally. There were other gestures that he kept making sort of a tip to the hat to the Catholic voters. I think he went to a shrine for a Catholic priest and a Polish priest in Pennsylvania. How much did those little gestures mean in the long run at the end of the day?
Well, I think they made a difference because Catholics did have concerns about Harris's record with Catholics, and she only doubled down on them. You know, she snubbed the Al Smith dinner. She told Catholics that there would be no accommodations for us when it came to her abortion policies. And President Trump did the opposite. He posted about our feast days. He mentioned us in our rallies. And he chose a Catholic vice president in J.D. Vance that turned out to be a superb choice that I think many Catholics rewarded him for. Yeah.
Was that a big deal, you think, in the end, J.D. Vance?
Without question. I mean, I think many Catholics that I know looked at J.D. They know he recently converted to the faith. He is one of the best, most articulate spokesperson of our kind of solidarity idea in our church, that we have to care for each other. And I think he has, you know, a big future ahead of him as well.
Yeah. Some of our best Catholics are converts, so that goes as well. So great to have you on, Brian. Such a great breakdown of what happened in this election with Catholics and so much to learn moving forward. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
You got it. Will?
All right. Thank you, Rachel.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.